Hello, and welcome to the 4 a.m. report. In this episode, and actually in the next few episodes as an episode arc, we're going to focus on some specific trends and learnings that you can take with you going into 2022. Because marketing as a whole has changed a significant amount during the pandemic, and what we thought to be the vehicles that we used to get the marketing out has significantly changed. And we at C plus P Digital had held an awards gala, partly for the fun of it and partly to curate a lot of the news that we've been following over the last year. To just essentially look at who's doing it well out there, what's happening, what are the things that are picking up, what's getting attention, and what is really cutting the scroll. So with that in mind, there's two things I wanted to say before you listen to a few clips about who the winners were. This year, we looked at marketing across 10 categories. And right there, I think, is the first point to note. The categories themselves have significantly changed. It's sure there's still an ad category, but beyond that, what campaigns look like has changed. Are they even campaigns anymore? We've totally gone into an educational and demand generation brand forward way of marketing to our customers. So the sort of categories that we saw were TikTok trend, like how did you jump on TikTok trends as a brand? And how did you sort of consider newsjacking? Like, were you in the comment section of various people's communication instead of just broadcasting your own? Like, have you considered making that concept into an NFT? So really, essentially what marketing looks like has changed a whole lot. And that brings me to point number two that I wanted you to think about, which is I love marketing books. I think we should all be reading a whole lot more. I read as much as I can. That said, I think what lacks for me is that often published marketing books, the examples within them are just a few years old. And at the pace at which things are moving right now, I come up short with the kind of examples and case studies that I can look into. So that is part of what we're hoping you can do with this. If you listen to this podcast, you will hear clips about 10 people / brands / enterprises who have really shown great marketing and what you can learn from them. This is current stuff. So take a listen. What you're about to hear is from 6 experts across marketing and business, 6 Canadian leaders. We've got with us Andrea Henry, founder of Henry Business Law. We have Darien Kovacs, founder of Jelly Marketing. We have Megan O'Neill, founder of meganoneil.ca and performance coach. We've got Martin Waxman, instructor in digital education and PR expert. We've got with us as well Mohit Rajhans, media commentator and founder of ThinkStart. And we've got with us Rohini Mukherjee, vice president at Narrative PR. So you'll hear from them various snippets of their thoughts around the people who've won and what we can take away from them. Enjoy.
Welcome to the 4 a.m. report. Let's face it, we all have to market. Large or little, it's harder than ever to stand out in a cluttered space of one-size-fits-all and copycat marketing moves. Welcome to the 4 a.m. report, a micro-podcast that brings you valuable conversations with people on the marketing dilemmas keeping them up at night. Here are your hosts, contrarian marketers and creative clutter cutters, Susan Diaz and Will Lamont.
Hey, Will.
Hi, Susan. Very excited to be doing this fun award show. I think it's going to be hilarious. So yeah, really excited. Should we first explain to everyone what this is all about if someone's just...
I think so. Let's start over there.
So so we do weekly, the Thirsty Thursday, which is morphed into so many things, taking a life of its own on. And we decided after a good year of doing that or more, that we wanted to do our own award show. This is award show season, so we wanted to get in on that action. and do our Thirst List Awards, our Marketing Thirst Awards, kind of looking back at all the things we talked about on Thirsty Thursday and nominating in different categories and choosing a winner.
Yeah. And I think our sort of hook for the whole thing is what was entertaining, because God knows we all needed a little levity in 2021. And I think brands delivered that, whether intentionally or unintentionally in some cases, over the course of many communications. So I think at this point, we'll quickly tell you who our judges are, and you'll start to meet them one at a time as they come up to present. We have a total of 10, as we said, categories. And we're first going to throw it to Rohini Mukherjee and Martin Waxman, PR specialists and royalty of reputation. Come up on stage, say hello to the people.
Hello.
Hello
so
out
happy
there.
to be here.
Yeah, me too. And wow, it's pretty exciting. It almost feels like we're all together.
We're doing our best, Martin. It needs a little bit of
and we got all spruced up for the evening and everything, right? So
we totally did. All right, so the two of you will now take us through the first three categories of the night. Can't wait to see what wins, you guys.
Okay, so our first category is newsjacking moment of 2021. This one is an interesting category, isn't it, Martin? I feel like there was a lot of idle time with all of us sitting at home. And so we were probably watching and listening to and reading the news with a lot of curiosity, and brands and entities and celebrities jumped on the bandwagon to, to take advantage of that, sometimes, with great success and humor, and sometimes in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It comes down to that one little key thing: judgment, knowing when you can insert yourself into a story and when maybe it's not such a good idea. But there were some pretty creative newsjacking moments this year.
Lots of really good ones. So let's look at the nominees.
Okay, and now it's over to me to introduce the winner here. No favorites on my part. No, the winner is Bernie Sanders Mittens. And I was trying to newsjack this particular moment. I didn't do it really well. I'm actually wearing two different colored mittens, but are slightly different. Anyway, they're gone now. But Bernie Sanders, congratulations, Senator Sanders. You didn't win the race for the presidency, but hey, you won the race for the memancy. Is that a word?
I love that. It was so good. It was such a good moment. I'm sure he did not intend to be anything of a meme, but it was brilliant.
Okay, so I guess it's on to the second award in our category, and it's worst apology. I think we do the best apologies as Canadians, but many other people, certainly our friends south of the border, or maybe even our former, colonial masters in the UK, they don't really embrace it the way we do, the way we get into just saying, I'm really sorry. What do you think about that, Rohini?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you're saying anything after the word sorry, you've already flubbed it. It's I'm sorry, period. That's it. No bit, but no, no clauses there. Just I'm sorry. So this is going to be an interesting trip down, seeing all the wrong turns you can take on the way to just I'm sorry. Yeah, some people really just flubbed what could have been a very simple admission of guilt. So, in a very 2021 way of announcing a winner, I'm pulling the winner out of a mask. And it is the royal family talking about recollections may vary. This was so royally bad that Susan and I actually created a whole podcast episode just around the statement, recollections may vary. But definitely, gaslighting, bullying, it's all in there. One sentence.
Oh, yeah. And, it's funny because I mentioned before the show, so I don't think anyone heard this. I've been watching The Crown. I had to watch The Crown to learn how to tie my tie. And in one of the episodes, they described the royal family as boorish, rude, and arrogant. And I would say they put those same traits into their apologies as we've seen.
I know. It's baffling. Yeah. They do a lot of things. They have done a lot of things well, but apologizing is not in that list.
No, not in their blood.
No.
The royal blood.
Okay. Let's move on to the last of our categories, which is the phenomenon of movement of the best phenomenon of movement of 2021. Again, a lot of idle time. So a lot of things that would be sort of a passing moment in the before times really sort of escalated into a movement or moment to remember. So what do you think, Martin?
I think a lot of digital moments, right? Because we weren't able to get out very much certainly in the first part of 2020. We can start to hopefully go out more now that we're all vaccinated and things like that. We have to be careful. But a lot of, digital, and hype really about things that captured our attention. Now, the question is, are they going to be able to sustain themselves as we go ahead?
Absolutely.
Lots of great nominees on their TikTok, which certainly was a sensation. That's for sure. But the winner is a word I love to say, non-fungible token, because it's such a great word. Nobody knows what they are. We have no idea. I actually was thinking I want to make a fungible token to kind of go up against the non-fungible tokens, but they seem to have really caught on. A lot of talk about how they're being used in the metaverse. And I haven't bought one yet. Have you, Rohini?
I have not. And my partner, who's an architect, has promised to create one. So that's my nest egg plan. But I have seen no makings of this. And I saw that now Stella Artois is using a non-fungible token as a non-fungible tip source to actually support the hospitality industry, which is great. I mean, I think if we've done this amazing, digital creatives have really brought this new concept to life, and now it's actually being used for good, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and it feels like it's explained blockchain to me in a way, or it's helped me understand blockchain on a whole other level, because while it's non-tangible, it's tangible. It's one of those weird ideas, but I understand that. And you start to see, okay, as we do enter the metaverse, as it develops with our avatars and we're buying things, non-fungible tokens are a great way to prove that we own what we own, or our avatars own what they own. But I'm not crazy about the idea of buying a piece of non-fungible art. Like Biz Stone's first tweet sold for what, $3.7 million or something like that. He gave it to charity, but I can look it up. I don't need to own that.
Yeah. And I think it's, it's interesting. It's sort of like art, isn't it? In some ways, the value is in the eye of the beholder. And there's like, you can't take that to the bank, but there you go.
Yeah. What I was going to say something that of two of those phenomenons colliding, and I totally dismissed them last year. It's funny. I went on Clubhouse for the first time last March, where I entered a room where Lindsay Lohan was hosting a chat about NFTs. And I was like, this is messed up. And then here we are, this much later, and NFTs are everywhere. Very interesting.
I was just going to say, do we have a second to talk about Clubhouse? Because it seems like it's really gone down, but Twitter Spaces is going up. And I don't know if you noticed today, when you open Twitter on your phone, there was a little check this new button out. It's like, oh my gosh, they've got a button for Spaces. So they're really, really pushing that.
Mohit, thoughts on NFTs winning this?
So I know quite a bit about this. I've minted an NFT. I own one. I've gone through it with a traditional artist. I've done it with a musician. It's fascinating, but it's also not. It's not for everybody yet, because there are many ways. So there are two layers, right? There's the education side, where you've got to learn how to best use what you're building. And then there's the business side, where you've got to learn how blockchain and crypto works, and why anybody that puts actual factual dollar amount to anything is like kind of full of shit at this point, right? Nothing is worth something until something is worth something, right? So it's but it's been fascinating to follow. And on the social audio stuff, yes, I agree, Clubhouse has, but Clubhouse has also made two features that has made the engagement be a little bit weird. And that is, one, they're letting you record rooms now, and that's caused some people to be a little less free in that social audio environment. And Twitter Spaces is now giving you the ability to do ticketed spaces. So now you can privatize your audience. So those two forces are really opposite in what social audio was trying to sort of create for people, which was this, like, everybody come in and we can all talk about like-minded things. So it'll be interesting to see which one ends up being what for what type of business. Anyway, that's my report. Click, like, subscribe, and
very good. Very awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you all for joining us for this segment. I'm going to leave Andrea and Mohit on screen to continue with the next three categories and take the rest of us off for now. We'll see you back in a bit.
Hello. So Andrea and I are actually meeting for the first time, both virtually as well, right? So this is great. Right. I'm so honored to be presenting with you, and it's nice to meet you. I'm glad to see a smiling face beside me that is both healthy and meet a new friend at the same time. So what are we presenting today?
We are presenting Best Ad, Thirstiest Billionaire Bro, which is my favorite category title, and Most Pointless Rebrand of 2021. And the one with the best ad was particularly, because I don't watch ads anymore, except when I'm watching 90 Day Fiancé, because that's the only live TV that I watch. But I thought, it's really interesting to think about, what do TV ads mean now in the era of streaming and YouTube and so many people, moving away from traditional TV?
Yeah, I agree. I also wonder sometimes, do you use the same ad you use on TV as you do on YouTube? Because then on somewhere else it could be annoying, whereas on TV it could have major impact. So you're right, it's been tricky. And then of course we can't forget tone, right? What tone in advertisement works right now? When you see people not wearing masks, do you go, or do you say, oh, no? Remember, for the longest time, everyone was putting the captions.
Yes, so they're like, this was filmed before COVID. But it was funny how quickly we got accustomed to seeing people in masks, right? Like just shortly into the pandemic, when we were seeing these ads that had been filmed before, it was like, why are they so close together? Why are they wearing masks? It was really interesting how quickly we shift to what's considered normal. And, do you want ads to reflect what you're going through, or do you want them to be a form of escape?
Well, I think the three finalists we have are pretty wide in variety, and so let's take a look at the nominees, I guess, and then we'll showcase the winner.
Sounds good.
Welcome to my vagina. In here, I make the rules. Rule number 1, keep it real, hun. And that means no hormones. Because hormones just weren't right for me.
I bet that if we're cancer bakers, they try to eat us. Creepy, right? That's why this Halloween I'm treating him with these. Good kitty.
So the winner is, to get back on track here, the extra gum ad. And Chewbacca says the winner is the extra gum ad. There was a prop I forgot to add to my thing there. And what a sign of the times for that ad. And I think it kind of got us back to talking again about ads and how relevant they have to be.
Yeah, I'm really glad this won. This is the one that I voted for. But I think that question of, do you want it to reflect what you're feeling? And that's how we were feeling we're not at the end, but at the point when the world was reopening again, and Mike given some expression to that. And that ads can be still relevant in this streaming and non-traditional TV environment. All right, so let's move on to the 5th category, which is the Billionaire Bro of 2021. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I'd like to know what categories were left out when considering, because the Billionaire Bro has its own category. You know, one thing's for certain, that while we had plenty to talk about the potential nominees and where the various impacts could be, one thing it is for certain, Andrea, is there's more people on that as a result of COVID than ever. In fact, pharmaceutical owners and people, I was doing some research, and soon enough, we're going to be talking about a few more billionaires that don't fit that sort of zeitgeist right now, people we've been following through social media and digital media. So hopefully they're not setting a precedent for what's about to come, because we think we've got our fill, right, of billionaire bros right now.
Yeah, I kind of think we do. I was just a few weeks ago when the founder of Spank sold her company and, gave every one of her employees, tickets anywhere in the world, first class. I think it was $10,000. And I was like, that is a great counterpoint to the billionaire bros who are spending millions and millions on 10 minutes in space. Do you want to?
Yeah. So let's look at the nominees and
yeah. So the winner is the broiest of the billionaires, Elon Musk, who has really captured our attentions over the past year or so.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're in a situation where we will be musked out for a long time, as they say. And we're going to, everyone's about how their profile and story will continue. And if they're leaving the planet to do it, then who knows where they'll stop, if they will stop, if they will be stopped.
It will be stopped. I think that's probably that's what's more likely. All right.
And we have one more, right?
We
have one more award.
Most pointless rebrand. This is the funniest category to me. The most pointless rebrand of 2021. And this is when you just ask, why? Why did you spend all of this money and time? Like, what really were you trying to accomplish? Let's see the nominees for who spent a lot of time and a lot of money for no reason.
Oh, yes. Well, I think we can both say that regardless of who wins, the real winners are the agencies who build their clients for any of those campaigns, because they are having their bonus parties right now while we sit here and talk about their thirstiness. Do you want to go ahead and announce the winner? Or is it?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn. You go.
Oh, so the winner is, according to Chewbacca, is CIBC. The banking institution known as CIBC is the winner of the most pointless rebrand. So next time you want to go into CIBC to get your Rogers phone repaired, feel free to do so, because that confusion is bound to happen.
That's exactly it. It totally looks like you're like, is that Rogers or CIBC? It just looks the same to me.
Yeah.
To Mohit's point, the hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars that were raked in doing these pointless rebrands is kind of funny when you think about it. Also, I was going to say the commentary on these billionaires during COVID, when people are unserved, people are losing their jobs, yet, we live in a capitalist society where the rich got richer. It's really an interesting, that's the phenomenon maybe of 2021. More billionaires, more people struggling. Interesting, yeah.
Darien, I know that in the segment coming up, there's a counterpoint to the billionaire bro coming. But what were your thoughts about those categories? Did you have comments on any of the ads in the ad category?
I just love that they touched people's hearts and people went for it and they tried things and they got them done quickly. Typically ads took so long to get put out. And I think we have a lot to thank Mr. Deadpool / the guy, Mr. Ryan Reynolds from Vancouver, BC. And he really, I think, stirred up the ad industry by being able to say you can do ads quickly and you can churn things around. And in a sense, you can mix newsjacking with advertising. And I think a lot of organizations finally said, hey, an ad or a commercial doesn't take 3 to 4 to 6 months to produce. We can do it quickly and timely, and it will really resonate with people. So thank you, Ryan, if you're watching. Appreciate what you've done to shift our industry.
Okay, so we're going to get Megan and Darien to stay on stage while the rest of us remove ourselves so you can see the next lot.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. Hello.
So we have 3 categories we're doing, but the first one up is the Power Podcast. What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? I love a good podcast, but I will admit I actually produce a podcast, Marketing News Canada, but I personally tend to only listen to podcasts with my children these days. So we listen to Circle Round, which is these amazing 15 to 20 minute stories. But my wife will often listen to podcasts and tell me about all the things I'm missing in the more adult-orientated, smart, intellectual podcast world.
Yeah, I'm a podcast junkie too, and I have been since my kids were young and I was at home with them when they were really young, and that kept me sane. Yeah. My poor husband, when he used to walk in the door, I'd be like, guess what I heard on the podcast? So, I am a junkie as well.
And there's something for everyone. I have a teenage son. We'll listen to The Great Debaters on CBC because it's hilarious. And I personally, when I do have time, Malcolm Gladwell, Revisionist History, I am a huge fan of. But it got to the point actually where if I would listen to it while driving, a few of them would get me crying. And I'd be crying and I have to pull over to the side of the road because I'm like, I can't drive. It's so emotional. They're so well done.
Yeah. And I have a podcast too, but I was a history major in university. So I always listen to stuff you missed in history class. And although my teens won't listen to that, but I just love it. There's so many we could go on about. So the first one was Spotify. We had Amazon and Apple subscription. Let's see our categories.
I love them all, and I feel like they're all winners in their own regard. Everyone is special and should at least get a participatory little ribbon.
And the winner is, I didn't make a very special thing, but Spotify.
Woo, Spotify. I will admit, I actually jump between Spotify and Apple myself personally. I'm both and even Audible, because they have some really cool, unique podcasts just on Audible.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I do. I tend to listen to Apple more, but the reason why I like Spotify is because it's a family adventure. Yeah. And that's the one thing that we all listen to is Spotify, even the teens, and the teens listen to their podcasts on Spotify. So it's a family love thing.
You know what's fun about podcasts is that if we think about when radio started, like, we got this CD set. I remember I'm age myself here for my family when we go on these road trips, and it was the Narnia series. It was these 7 CDs, and we put them in the car and we listened to them, and it was this beautiful audio drama. And I feel like we're in this new era where, like, we'll sit around eating dinner with my kids and we'll listen to this story, and it stimulates that imagination in such a beautiful way. And I love that audio is taking over real estate from TV.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Our next category, I think, is a very cool category, the female unicorn of 2021, which I think is awesome. Like, we got to celebrate some amazing females, and especially female unicorns, which there's, something to celebrate right there, because unicorns are awesome.
Yeah. And this was one where I had a lot of difficulty choosing out. It really, honestly, it was almost impossible for me to choose.
Yeah.
Because every single one had their own unique contribution. And it's too bad it's a unicorn, right? It's too bad it's a unicorn in some ways. But yeah, it was outstanding. So our nominees are, so that you know who we're talking about.
How do you choose?
I mean, that was outstanding women.
Megan, why don't you tell us who the winner is this year?
And the winner is Joanne Griffin of NYX. And boy, that was hard. But she, this is kind of a bit personal for me because I'm part of an angel investor. I tune into the angel investors here in Ottawa about females getting funding, getting capital for female entrepreneurs, especially in tech. And I heard stories firsthand of women who could not get, couldn't get any funding because they literally were pregnant. And so it was said, do not appear in front of anyone pregnant if you're looking for money. So this is outstanding. And her products are great. I can say, honestly, I was kind of wrestled with it at first, the product. I was like, I didn't really get it, but it's an outstanding product.
Yeah. No, and what I know from an advertising perspective, they work with Sarah, also known as Birds Papaya, which I think is so cool, who's a huge advocate for real beauty, real people, unphotoshopped photos of real true bodies. So huge fan of their collabs with Birds Papaya that they've been doing.
Yeah. I mean, there was just so many outstanding women there. I can't say it. I'm a huge Sarah Blakely fan as well.
Yeah.
I mean, she's Miss Mindset. So she talks about mindset constantly. And I loved everything about, we could spend the whole time with those, talking about those women. So I enjoyed that. And we have our last category here. So this is TikTok trend of 2021. Are you a big TikToker?
I will admit, yes, I both dabble in it professionally and personally. So but I do love the fact that they self-professed. They didn't wait for Apple to create it, but they self-professed that they know they're so addictive that they actually have a health monitoring device within the app that says if you are watching and viewing for more than an hour, we will warn you, which I think is such a cool, confident admittance that they are awesome.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TikTok, except that it appears on my Twitter a lot or in my social media things.
Yeah.
And I think that I can safely say I'm addicted to all the animal TikToks. Mm-hmm. I think that is like the pleasure thing I have in my day is all the animal TikToks.
Yeah. So, okay, random fact for you of the day, Canadian news-wise, Joshua Bloom was the first employee of MySpace Canada, the first employee of Facebook Canada, and then the first employee of TikTok Canada.
Wow.
And I was asking him this question. I said, why has TikTok done so well? Because he's been there for all the social channels and seen them all. And he said it was the minute that they said, you have to have the audio on. And so you experience TikTok like an entertainment system, whereas all the rest, like Instagram, Twitter, you scroll through it. Whereas TikTok, it is like watching TV. And it's so true because you want the audio on, you want the multi-sensory experience, and thus it becomes even more addictive and way more interesting.
I can tell you that my ADD friends are having a problem with TikTok.
Yeah.
They literally will say to me, woo, got to get off the TikTok. So it's perfect for ADD personalities. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's find out what the three potential winners were, what the three trends were. Here we go. Wow. Also good.
Yeah.
All amazing. And there's new trends coming almost every day, every week. There's more and more trends coming, whether it's the, making a food, pouring sauce on it, and then doing the dance right after, whatever the latest trend of the week is. But this last year's winner, drum roll please, was feta pasta. Congratulations to feta. Congratulations to pasta. Both of you make sure have a great time at the after party because you're both going to have a great time together because together you are a good pair and have lots to celebrate.
I love it.
So good. It was so good.
Do we have to do a hands up and see who actually tried the feta pasta bake? I did. Who else? Anyone else?
I'm going to.
Just Susan and I. Huh? What do you think, Susan? Did you actually like how it tasted?
Not really.
Yeah, me neither. I was kind of
I was underwhelmed. Maybe I expected too much from it. But that said, I tried it, and I know a bunch of my friends did. So, there's a little statement for where we get our influences from these days, right? As we decide what we do with our free time.
I'm super excited that Spotify won. I feel like Spotify is going to be one of the platforms that we're going to start to look at as an actual network and not just a place to pick up, on podcasts and recommendations and stuff. Their connective TV application that they've launched now, where they're going to be able to maybe even bring that old MTV feeling back to the center of the household, but also be mobile and family friendly. And then the last very quick point I wanted to make was that the health monitor on TikTok, from what I've learned, is a direct result of the fact that in China, they've got a very popular TikTok competitor called Douyin, and Douyin has introduced that as part of their newer ways to actually crack down on children scrolling to the infinite scroll, etc. And TikTok has mirrored some of the features that they've had there to control some of that, from what I've learned. But that's just a little tidbit that I wanted to share as a result.
I love that. Thank you for that. Andrea, talk to me about the women category and the counterpoint to the billionaire bro.
Yeah, so I think I'd mentioned it earlier, the difference between how Sarah responded to being, again, a billionaire and what, Elon and Richard Branson and some of the others in the categories. And I think it underscores why, and this is a generalization, but it really does underscore why it's important that women have money and have economic power, because generally speaking, when women have money, they reinvest, right? They give to their employees, they invest in the community, they give to charity in a way that's not being shown by the billionaire bros. If we look at the example of Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, who is like trying as hard as possible to give away her billions in a way that her husband is not. And so, that's obviously a cause near and dear to my heart. I work with women entrepreneurs all the time and can see the motivation to build these businesses. And the beautiful thing is that we can do it in a way that's not been done in the past, right? So I think sometimes there's been obviously we live in a capitalist society, and there's been the expectations that if you make money, you have to make it by cutting corners and treating your staff badly and, doing all these kind of old rich guy TM type of activities. And I think this new generation, the Sarah Blakeleys and the Joanna Griffiths of Nix, etc., to be able to do it in a way on their own terms, in a way where they're treating staff well, where they're giving back to their community and actually doing good things with their money is really great to see.
All right, so we're down to the last category of the night. Everyone will be back in a second to chat about who won that. But Will, now it's you and I for a second. How are you feeling about this? We started with a random idea, and here we are.
I know, and this has been a fun night. I'm glad all of our panelists have been great. The categories, I think, have been entertaining, and as Mohit said, the discussion after has been quite interesting too. So I'm having a good time. Yeah, how are you feeling?
I like it. It's like, oh my goodness, look, it's actually happening. It's quite fun because you know what? We could have spent an hour on a webinar. We could have done this. And, we like to complicate things as much as we possibly can. So here we are. So this is the last category. And the category, do you want to set it up, Will?
Yeah, so it's Woman of the Year. We spoke about many great women over the course of this year on Thirsty Thursday and in the Thirst List. What I love about the women who are nominated, Susan, is most of them are young, under 30, some under 20. And, for anyone who's worried about, this next generation, what are they going to get up to? Like, this is an example of some amazing, very young people that were nominating for Woman of the Year. And, the majority of them, it was because they found their power. They stood up for themselves. They stood up to power. And that had such an impact on not just other women their age, but all of us. So I thought the list was a great short list that we have. What about you?
Although we didn't do much to a short list. We were like, here are all the awesome people of the year. Now you decide, judges. Here are the nominees, folks. The 7 power names. So hard to decide there.
Very, very. You know what? I can't even remember who I voted for because I'm like, I would have voted for her, and her. So I really can't remember who I voted for.
Oh, look, her. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to drag this out for a second more and say, listen, this one came down to a tie. We had to reach back out to people and ask again, and then it tied again. So, in true Canadian fashion, at the advice of some reputation management experts, which may or may not be Martin Waxman, we've decided to give everybody a medal. So it's going to be 2 people. The 2 people came down to Simone Biles and Amanda Gorman, folks.
Very cool. Very cool. I might have actually, I think I might have voted for Simone because it was quite powerful to see this woman who her whole life had been set up to compete in these many events in gymnastics at the Olympics, like bow out because her head wasn't right. Number one, she could have hurt herself, but also that was more important than these gold medals, which is so not what we're taught to think, right? So that was had such an impact, I think.
Pitch in, folks. What does everyone think? This is the most Canadian panel ever. No one's going to speak.
You know what? When in doubt, apologize and make it a tie. That's the rules of life that I live by.
There you go.
And don't be a billionaire. Just be comfortable.
What I like about today is the archival nature of what we're doing and being able to look at this. Maybe if we did this even, you can almost do this every month because so much goes on in the news these days. Almost do it every quarter. But at least if we look back in a year from now, it'd be neat to actually look back on this episode and then to see what's new and what's current and what has shifted, what has changed. So thank you so much for organizing this. This is so cool, so neat, and so appreciated, I think.
That's awesome.
The people here on the call.
Thank you. Maybe because of that, Darien, this is going to be the first annual Marketing Thirst Awards. Andrea, comments?
No, I think I can see why there was a tie. I think Simone Biles for me really was that idea that you can push back and really prioritize yourself and your mental health and your well-being. I was not that self-assured at that age to be able to do it. And I think it's really nice to see young women in the society standing up for themselves and standing up to look out for themselves, even with the pressure of the world on their shoulders. So it's good to see. I'm like happy that my daughter is growing up in an environment where that's going to be more and more the norm for young women.
Megan?
That was hard. They were all outstanding. Well, I mean, I have a special spot for Amanda Gorman. I mean, I could listen to her all day long. I mean, her poetry, it feels like every time she speaks is poetry. But I also like how she has been talking about innovation, using her fame and very quick fame. She was talking about how many followers, for example, she had as she came off the inauguration, how she has negotiated with her fame, when she negotiated with Estee Lauder and what she decided to do with it and what her aspirations are. I mean, yeah, exactly what Andrea's saying. Thank God that our daughters will see a woman. And she even declared she was going to be president of the United States one day, which just made my heart sing. But she's also using her fame advocating socially. She particularly, although, yes, with Simone, what a brave thing to do. What a brave thing after everything also that she has been through with Nasser, and it made my heart break. And for her to have advocated for mental health is something we'd never seen before. And the criticism she received is unbelievable. Like, it was unbelievable, people's reaction to her. So yeah, these women have more guts than anybody.
That's absolutely awesome. With that, we're absolutely at the mark of 5, folks, and we'd like to keep it on time around here. So thank you very much, judges, for joining us. That was a fun way to spend an evening and look at all of the inspiring comms, marketing, media out there. So thank you.
Thank you. This was amazing.
Bye, and congrats to you guys for planning it. Thanks.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're losing sleep over a marketing-related problem, let us know. Drop us a line at cp.digital. Sweet dreams. Well, hopefully.